Have you ever wondered why some patients in shock respond well to vasopressors while others continue to deteriorate despite maximum doses? Understanding vasopressors is absolutely critical for ICU nurses, and today I'm going to break down everything you need to know about these life-saving medications in just 10 minutes. I'll explain how they work, which ones to use when, and the key nursing considerations that will help you manage these powerful drugs with confidence. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video lesson. My name is Neil Brian Galvez and this is NurseBrain, where I take complex critical care nursing topics and make them easy to understand. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss out any new lesson. Today, we're diving into vasopressors, medications that are the backbone of hemodynamic support in critically ill patients. By the end of this video, you'll understand the different types of vasopressors, their mechanism of actions, and crucial nursing consideration when administering these medications. What are vasopressors? Vasopressors are powerful medication designed to enhance cardiac output or vascular tone. They work by either increasing the force of heart contractions or inotropic effect, or causing vasoconstriction or increasing SVR. The goal is to raise main arterial pressure or MAP to ensure adequate perfusion to vital organs. Think of vasopressors as emergency support for your patient's cardiovascular system when it can maintain adequate blood pressure on its own. They are commonly used in shock states, post-cardiac surgery, and other conditions where hemodynamic support is needed. Before we dive into specific medications, let's quickly review the receptors these drugs target. Alpha-1 receptors. When stimulated, these causes vasoconstriction, increasing SVR and blood pressure. Alpha-2 receptors. These provide feedback control and also cause vasoconstriction when antagonized. Beta-2 receptors. These increase heart rate and contractility, boosting cardiac output. Beta-2 receptors. These cause vasodilation and bronchodilation. Vasopressin receptors V1 and V2. V1 receptors cause vasoconstriction, while V2 receptors promote water retention. Understanding these receptors helps explain why different vasopressors have different effects and why we choose specific agents for specific situations. Here are the common vasopressors. Norepinephrine, sold under the brand name Levophed. Norepinephrine is our first-line vasopressor for most types of shock, especially septic shock. It primarily stimulates alpha-1 receptors with some beta-1 activity. Dosing. Start at 0.05 microgram per kilogram per minute and titrate by 0.01 to 0.05 microgram per minute every 1 to 15 minutes. Non-weight-based dosing starts at 5 microgram per minute. Effects: increases SVR and has moderate inotropic effects, raising blood pressure while supporting cardiac output. Nursing considerations: watch for tissue necrosis if extravasation occurs. Monitor for tachyarrhythmias and ensure adequate volume status before starting. Phenylephrine, sold under the brand name Neosynephrine. Phenylephrine is a pure alpha-1 agonist, making it our go-to when we need vasoconstriction without increasing heart rate. Dosing start at 0.5 microgram per kilogram per minute or 10 to 35 microgram per minute for non-weight based, titrating up as needed. Effects and causes: vasoconstriction without direct cardiac effects may cause reflex bradycardia. Nursing considerations: ideal for patients with tachyarrhythmias who need blood pressure support. Use cautiously in patients with heart failure as it increases afterload without improving contractility. Epinephrine. Epinephrine stimulates both alpha and beta receptors, with stronger beta effects at lower doses and stronger alpha effects at higher doses. Dosing start at 0.01 microgram per kilogram per minute and titrate up as needed. Effects at low doses: primarily increases heart rate and contractility. At higher doses causes significant vasoconstriction. Nursing considerations: Watch for tachyarrhythmias, increased myocardial oxygen demand, and lactic acidosis. Remember that epinephrine can cause elevated lactic levels that don't necessarily indicate worsening shock. Vasopressin. Vasopressin works differently from catecholamines, targeting V1 receptors to cause vasoconstriction. Dosing. Fixed dose of 0.03 units per minute can increase to 0.04 units per minute in refractory shock. Effects and causes. Vasoconstriction, particularly in the splenic circulation, doesn't typically affect pulmonary vascular resistance. Nursing consideration, often used as an adjunct to norepinephrine in septic shock. These medications can decrease urine output due to water retention effects. Dopamine. Dopamine has dose-dependent effects on different receptors. Dosing. 1 to 5 micrograms per kilogram per minute for dopaminergic effects. 5 to 10 micrograms per kilogram per minute for beta effects. More than 10 micrograms per kilogram per minute for alpha effects. Effects. At low doses, increase renal blood flow. At medium doses, increases cardiac output. At high doses, causes vasoconstriction. Nursing considerations. The concept of renal dose dopamine is controversial and not well supported by evidence. Watch for tachyarrhythmias at higher doses. Here are some practical nursing considerations. Always label your vasopressor lines clearly at both the pump and the patient ends. Use a dedicated lumen of central line whenever possible. For multiple pressors, consider using a manifold setup to minimize dead space and ensure rapid medication delivery. When titrating vasopressors, consider the following. How far the current map is from your target, the current dose relative to the typical dose range, the onset time of the medication. Nurses make smaller adjustments when you're close to your target map or when using higher doses. Allow sufficient time between adjustments to see the full effect. Closely monitor the following: continuous arterial blood pressure, heart rate and rhythm, urine output, peripheral perfusion, skin color, temperature, capillary refill, signs of extravasation if using peripheral line. Complications. Watch out for extravasation and tissue necrosis, arrhythmias, digital ischemia, decreased organ perfusion despite adequate MAP, tachyphylaxis, or what we call decreasing response over time. If extravasation occurs, stop the infusion immediately, elevate the extremity, and consider phenylephrine injection to the affected area. Understanding vasopressors is crucial for any ICU nurse. Remember that while these medications are powerful tools for supporting hemodynamics, they're not substitute for addressing the underlying cause of shock. Always ensure adequate volume resuscitation before starting vasopressors and continuously reassess your patient's response to therapy. In this video, we've covered the basic mechanisms, common agents, and the key nursing considerations for vasopressor therapy. In the future videos, we'll dive deeper into specific shock states and how to tailor your vasopressor selection to different clinical scenarios. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more critical care content. If you have questions about vasopressors or suggestions for future topics, leave them in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about shock management, check out my video on types of shock linked right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Once again, this is NurseBrain, inspiring greatness one lesson at a time.